Most people spend their lives watching everyone else. They compare their progress, seek approval, react to opinions, and measure their worth against standards they never created. Day after day, their attention is scattered across the lives of strangers, coworkers, friends, and even critics. Yet the greatest transformation begins the moment you stop looking outward and start looking inward. The quality of your life is determined by where your attention rests. If your attention constantly belongs to the outside world, your peace will always depend on circumstances you cannot control. But when your attention returns to yourself, you begin to build something that cannot easily be shaken. Focusing on yourself is not an act of selfishness. It is an act of responsibility. Before you can bring peace into your relationships, your work, or your future, you must first create peace within yourself. A person who understands their own mind is far less likely to be controlled by the opinions, expectations, or emotions of others. Instead of asking whether people appreciate you, begin asking whether you appreciate the effort you make every single day. Instead of wondering if someone believes in you, ask whether your own actions prove that you believe in yourself. Many people lose years chasing validation because praise feels comforting. Compliments create temporary satisfaction, but dependence on approval creates permanent weakness. The moment your confidence depends on applause, you become vulnerable to criticism. If someone's words can lift you too high, another person's words can bring you crashing down. True confidence is quieter than that. It comes from keeping promises to yourself, even when nobody notices. It grows every time you choose discipline over comfort, patience over impulse, and purpose over distraction. Imagine carrying a bucket with a small hole in the bottom. No matter how much water you pour into it, it never stays full. Seeking validation works the same way. Every compliment fills you for a moment, but soon the emptiness returns, demanding more attention, more recognition, and more acceptance. The solution is not to find more people willing to praise you. The solution is to repair the hole within. That repair begins when you stop searching for worth outside yourself and start creating it through your actions. Your attention is one of the most valuable resources you possess. Wherever it goes, your energy follows. If your attention is consumed by gossip, comparison, and unnecessary conflict, your energy becomes scattered. If your attention is invested in learning, improving, exercising, reflecting, and building meaningful habits, your energy becomes productive. Every day you are planting seeds through what you choose to focus on. The harvest you receive months or years later is determined by those daily choices. There will always be distractions inviting you away from your own path. Someone else will always appear more successful, more talented, or further ahead. But every minute spent comparing your journey to another person's is a minute stolen from your own growth. The strongest individuals are not obsessed with keeping up with everyone else. They are occupied with becoming slightly better than they were yesterday. Progress becomes inevitable when comparison is replaced by commitment. Turning your attention inward also means becoming honest with yourself. It requires the courage to recognize your weaknesses without making excuses. It means accepting responsibility for your habits, your reactions, and your decisions. Blaming circumstances may provide temporary comfort, but responsibility creates lasting strength. Every challenge becomes an opportunity when you ask yourself, what can I improve? Instead of, who should I blame? This single shift transforms obstacles into lessons and setbacks into preparation for greater challenges. There is a quiet strength that many people overlook because it cannot be measured by volume or attention. In a world where everyone feels the need to explain themselves, defend every decision, and respond to every criticism, silence becomes a rare form of wisdom. Not every opinion deserves your response, and not every misunderstanding requires your correction. The more secure you become within yourself, the less you feel the need to convince others that you are right. Your peace is too valuable to be traded for endless arguments that change nothing. Many people believe that remaining silent is a sign of weakness, but true silence often demands far greater strength than speaking. It is easy to react when someone insults you. It is easy to argue when someone misunderstands your intentions. It is easy to prove a point simply because your ego wants to win. What is difficult is remaining calm when your emotions are inviting you to fight. What is difficult is choosing self-control over instant satisfaction. That decision separates those who are ruled by their emotions from those who have learned to master them. Every unnecessary explanation costs you energy. Every argument drains your focus. Every attempt to make everyone understand your perspective takes time that could have been invested in your own growth. Imagine carrying a backpack throughout your day. Each unnecessary conflict places another stone inside it. At first, the weight seems manageable, but over time it becomes exhausting. Eventually, you realize that many of those stones were never yours to carry. The opinions of others, their assumptions, and their judgments belong to them. You do not have to carry burdens that someone else created. Silence creates space for observation. While others rush to speak, defend, or interrupt, the silent person notices details that everyone else misses. They recognize patterns in people's behavior. They learn who is sincere and who only seeks attention. They understand that words often reveal less than actions. A person may promise loyalty, kindness, or honesty, but their consistent behavior always speaks louder than any carefully chosen sentence. When you spend less time talking, you gain more opportunities to understand. There is also great freedom in accepting that not everyone will understand your journey. Some people judge you based on a single moment, while knowing nothing about the years that shaped you. Others create stories about your life without ever asking for the truth. If you dedicate yourself to correcting every misunderstanding, you will spend your entire life chasing approval instead of pursuing purpose. Sometimes the strongest response is no response at all. Time has a way of revealing truth more clearly than endless explanations ever could. Your actions carry a quiet authority that words can never replace. Anyone can make promises, but only disciplined action creates trust. Anyone can claim they are changing, but only consistent habits prove transformation. Instead of announcing your goals, work toward them. Instead of defending your character, live in a way that makes false accusations lose their power. Instead of arguing about your value, become so focused on improvement that your results answer questions before they are even asked. Silence also protects your inner peace. Every conversation does not deserve access to your emotions. Every criticism does not deserve a place in your thoughts. When you learn to pause before reacting, you give yourself the opportunity to choose wisdom instead of impulse. That brief moment of restraint often prevents hours of regret. A calm response, or sometimes no response at all, allows you to keep your energy directed toward what truly matters, leaving unnecessary conflict behind while your actions quietly continue to speak on your behalf. Most people believe that controlling their life means controlling their circumstances. They spend countless hours trying to change other people's opinions, force situations to unfold exactly as planned, or eliminate every obstacle standing in their way. Yet the greatest battles are rarely fought in the outside world. They begin and end within the mind. A person may possess wealth, influence, and opportunity, but if their thoughts are ruled by fear, anger, and doubt, they will never experience true freedom. The mind is either your greatest ally or your greatest obstacle, depending on whether you choose to train it or ignore it. Your thoughts shape your emotions influence your actions, and your actions determine the direction of your life. This chain begins long before anyone else notices it. A single negative thought, left unchecked, can grow into frustration. Frustration can become anger. Anger can lead to careless decisions that create problems far greater than the original challenge. In the same way, one disciplined thought can inspire patience. Patience creates clarity. Clarity leads to wise decisions that strengthen your future. Every meaningful change starts with the conversations you have inside your own mind. Many people react to life without ever pausing to understand why they react the way they do. Someone criticizes them, and they immediately become defensive. A plan fails, and they instantly assume they are incapable. A small inconvenience appears, and their entire mood changes. These reactions often happen so quickly that they feel automatic. But automatic reactions are simply habits formed through repetition. Just as unhealthy habits can be created over time, healthier habits of thinking can also be developed through consistent awareness and discipline. One of the most powerful skills you can cultivate is learning to observe your thoughts without immediately believing them. Not every thought deserves your trust. Your mind may tell you that you are not good enough, that failure is permanent, or that success belongs only to others. These thoughts often appear convincing because they arrive with emotion. But emotion is not always evidence. A disciplined mind asks questions instead of accepting every thought as truth. Is this thought helping me grow? Is it based on facts or fear? Does believing this move me closer to the person I want to become? These simple questions weaken the influence of destructive thinking. Emotions themselves are not the enemy. Anger, sadness, disappointment, and fear are natural experiences that every person encounters. The danger comes when emotions become the leader instead of the messenger. Emotions provide information, but they should not make your decisions. A storm may appear in the sky, but an experienced sailor does not abandon the ship because of dark clouds. In the same way, you do not have to surrender control of your actions simply because difficult emotions appear. You can acknowledge them without allowing them to decide your direction. A calm mind does not mean a life without problems. It means developing the ability to remain steady while problems exist. Challenges will continue to arise. Unexpected setbacks will interrupt your plans. People will disappoint you. Circumstances will change without warning. If your peace depends on perfect conditions, you will always be waiting for a future that never arrives. Inner stability is built by practicing discipline during ordinary moments so that when difficult moments appear, your mind already knows how to respond with patience instead of panic. Mental discipline is strengthened through daily choices that may seem small, but carry lasting impact. Every time you pause before reacting, you strengthen self-control. Every time you replace a destructive thought with a constructive one, you reshape your mindset. Every time you choose reflection over impulse, you build resilience that cannot be taken away by changing circumstances. The strongest victories are often invisible because they happen within the mind long before they become visible in the world around you. A great deal of suffering does not come from what happens to us. It comes from our relentless attempt to control what was never ours to control. We exhaust ourselves worrying about how people will judge us, whether every plan will succeed, or whether the future will unfold exactly as we imagined. The more tightly we try to hold on to every outcome, the more anxious and frustrated we become. Life is constantly changing, and no amount of worry can force it to follow our expectations. Real freedom begins when you recognize the difference between what you can influence and what you must learn to accept. Every morning presents you with a choice. You can spend your energy chasing certainty, or you can invest it in your own actions. The first path leads to endless disappointment, because certainty is impossible. The second path leads to growth, because your actions always remain within your reach. You cannot control whether people appreciate your efforts, but you can control the quality of your work. You cannot control whether someone speaks kindly about you, but you can control the kindness you show. You cannot control every opportunity that comes your way, but you can prepare yourself so that when opportunity appears, you are ready to meet it. Many people carry invisible burdens that were never theirs to begin with. They feel responsible for everyone's happiness, everyone's approval, and everyone's expectations. They believe they must constantly prove their worth by meeting standards that continue to change. This creates a life of endless pressure because someone else's expectations can never truly be satisfied. No matter how much you accomplish, there will always be another opinion, another demand, or another comparison waiting to steal your peace. The moment you stop living to satisfy every expectation, you begin living according to your own values. Attachment often disguises itself as ambition. There is nothing wrong with setting meaningful goals or working hard toward a better future. The problem begins when your happiness becomes completely dependent on a specific result. You tell yourself that you will finally feel successful after achieving one promotion, one business milestone, one relationship, or one financial target. But once that goal is reached, another quickly replaces it. The cycle never ends because fulfillment was attached to outcomes instead of personal growth. Lasting peace comes from appreciating the effort you invest rather than becoming imprisoned by the result you hope to receive. Uncertainty is not an enemy that must be defeated. It is a natural part of every meaningful journey. No one can predict every challenge they will face or every opportunity that will appear. The strongest individuals are not those who eliminate uncertainty from their lives. They are the ones who develop enough confidence to move forward despite it. Courage is not the absence of doubt. Courage is choosing to take the next step, even when the entire path is hidden from view. Trust grows through action, not through guarantees. There will be moments when life refuses to follow your carefully designed plans. Doors will close without explanation. Relationships may change unexpectedly. Efforts that seemed certain to succeed may produce disappointing results. During these moments, resistance only deepens frustration. Acceptance does not mean giving up or losing hope. It means acknowledging reality without allowing bitterness to consume you. Once you accept what has happened, your energy is no longer trapped in wishing the past were different. It becomes available for creating a better future through wise decisions made in the present. When you let go of the need to control every outcome, your mind becomes lighter and your vision becomes clearer. You stop reacting to every setback as if it defines your entire life. Instead, you begin asking what lesson each experience offers and how you can respond with greater wisdom. Your focus shifts away from fear and toward responsibility. You become less concerned with forcing life to match your expectations and more committed to becoming the kind of person who can remain steady, adaptable, and peaceful regardless of what circumstances bring. The strongest transformations rarely happen in front of an audience. They take place in quiet moments when no one is watching, when there is no applause to encourage you and no recognition waiting at the finish line. This is where character is built. Many people dream about becoming successful, disciplined, or respected, but they underestimate the importance of the unseen work that makes those qualities possible. They become excited about the result while avoiding the process. Yet the process is where true growth lies. The person you become in private will always determine the life you experience in public. There is a temptation to announce every goal before it has taken shape. Sharing ambitions can feel satisfying because it creates the illusion of progress. People congratulate you for your plans, admire your vision, and encourage your dreams. But words alone cannot replace action. A goal spoken 100 times is still only an idea until it is supported by consistent effort. Instead of seeking motivation from other people's reactions, learn to find strength in the quiet satisfaction of keeping promises to yourself. The discipline you build in silence creates results that never need an introduction. Every meaningful habit begins with actions so small that they appear insignificant. Waking up a little earlier, reading a few pages, practicing a skill for 30 minutes, Exercising when you do not feel like it, choosing patience instead of anger, or spending a few moments reflecting on your day may not seem extraordinary. However, greatness is rarely created through dramatic moments. It is built through ordinary decisions repeated with extraordinary consistency. Small actions performed every day become powerful because they shape your identity. Eventually, you no longer struggle to act with discipline because discipline becomes part of who you are. Consistency has a unique power because it outperforms intensity. Anyone can work hard for a single day when motivation is high. Anyone can remain focused for a week after hearing an inspiring message. The challenge begins when enthusiasm fades and routine takes over. This is where many people stop. They wait for motivation to return instead of continuing with commitment. The disciplined individual understands that feelings are temporary, but habits have lasting influence. They continue moving forward even when the excitement disappears because they know that progress belongs to those who remain steady. There will be moments when your efforts seem invisible. You may practice for months without noticeable improvement. You may work diligently while others receive recognition before you. You may wonder whether your sacrifices are producing any real change. During these moments, it is important to remember that growth often happens beneath the surface before it becomes visible. Just as a tree develops strong roots underground before reaching toward the sky, your patience, resilience, and skill are developing long before others can see the results. What appears to be slow progress is often silent preparation. Building yourself in silence also protects you from unnecessary comparison. When your attention is focused on impressing others, you begin measuring your journey against theirs. You become distracted by appearances instead of substance. But when you work quietly, your energy remains directed toward your own improvement. You stop asking whether someone else is moving faster and start asking whether you are becoming stronger, wiser, and more disciplined than you were yesterday. This shift creates confidence because your progress is no longer dependent on anyone else's pace. Confidence is not built through praise, it is built through evidence. Every promise you keep to yourself becomes proof that you are reliable. Every difficult decision you make strengthens your belief in your own character. Every challenge you face without giving up becomes another reason to trust yourself. Over time, this quiet confidence becomes impossible to shake because it is not based on opinions or temporary success. It is built upon countless moments of discipline, patience, and perseverance that no one else needed to witness in order to transform the person you were becoming. Many people spend years chasing success, believing that the next achievement will finally bring them peace. They think a higher income, a better position, more recognition, or perfect circumstances will solve the restlessness they feel inside. Yet even after reaching those goals, many discover that something is still missing. The reason is simple. External success can improve your lifestyle, but it cannot replace inner transformation. Life begins to change in meaningful ways only when you become the kind of person who can handle success, failure, praise, and criticism with the same steady mind. The greatest victory is not changing the world around you. It is changing the person who responds to that world. Everything begins with your character. Skills can open doors, intelligence can create opportunities, and talent can attract attention. But character determines how long those opportunities remain. A disciplined person continues working after the excitement fades. A humble person keeps learning, even after becoming successful. A patient person remains calm during uncertainty. These qualities are not developed overnight. They are shaped through countless decisions made when no one is watching. Every time you choose integrity over convenience, patience over frustration, and discipline over comfort, you are quietly becoming someone capable of carrying greater responsibilities. Personal transformation requires honesty. It is easy to point at circumstances or blame difficult people, or complain about unfair situations. It is much harder to ask yourself where you still need to grow. The strongest individuals are willing to examine their own weaknesses without allowing shame to control them. They understand that recognizing an area for improvement is not an admission of failure. It is the beginning of wisdom. Growth becomes possible the moment you stop pretending to have all the answers and become willing to learn from every experience. As your inner world becomes stronger, your relationship with challenges begins to change. Problems that once overwhelmed you now become opportunities to practice patience. Criticism that once damaged your confidence becomes useful feedback or meaningless noise, depending on its value. Delays that once filled you with frustration become opportunities to strengthen persistence. The circumstances themselves may not change, but your response becomes wiser. This is why personal transformation is so powerful. When you change, your experience of life changes, even if the world around you remains the same. Peace also creates clarity. When your mind is no longer crowded with comparison, fear, resentment, and constant worry, you begin to notice opportunities that were always present. You make better decisions because they are no longer driven by panic or desperation. You listen more carefully. You observe more deeply. You act with greater intention. Many people believe that clarity comes first and confidence follows, but often the opposite is true. Clarity appears when you consistently practice discipline, self-control, and patience. A calm mind sees possibilities that an anxious mind completely overlooks. Trusting the process does not mean waiting passively for life to improve. It means continuing to do the right work, even when immediate results are invisible. Every meaningful achievement requires seasons of preparation. A farmer does not plant seeds in the morning and expect a harvest by evening. In the same way, your habits, your mindset, and your daily choices require time before they produce visible rewards. Impatience tempts you to quit just before progress begins to appear. Faith in the process allows you to remain consistent through every season, knowing that each disciplined step is shaping a stronger future. When you become the right person, many things that once felt impossible begin to unfold naturally. Relationships become healthier because you bring wisdom instead of insecurity. Opportunities increase because your preparation meets the moment they arrive. Challenges become teachers instead of enemies because your perspective has matured. You stop forcing every outcome and stop focusing on living with purpose, integrity, and quiet confidence. As your inner foundation grows stronger, the pieces of your life begin to settle into place, not because the world has suddenly become easier, but because you have become stronger, calmer, and more prepared to meet whatever comes next.